Dandelions. Some people might call them a weed and try to get rid of them, but personally, I love seeing the little pops of yellow on a grassy field. They're just so cheery, and they also remind me of summer. So with the hot summer days just starting, I figured why not make a drawing and a build with lots and lots of dandelions. I already have a pretty solid idea of what this illustration is gonna look like, so I didn't have to do too many thumbnail sketches. There's a wide open field filled with dandelions, a blue planet in the sky, and from above hangs an upside down metropolis with lots of skyscrapers. Why is there an upside down city? I have no clue. But I like the contrast of having nature down below and an urban landscape above, the yellow of the dandelions and the yellow of the lights in the buildings. I know that technically the buildings in this drawing shouldn't be drawn flat. There should be some perspective going on to make them look more three-dimensional, but I decided to go for a more geometric or graphical style for this illustration. So we have the flat, rectangular buildings placed in an upside-down triangle shape, and that's pointing down onto the circular planet and the flat, grassy dandelion field. And just imagine standing underneath it all, dandelion at your feet, and looking up to see all the city lights. We are in the creative world today, and we're gonna have to move away from our last build. Make sure it's out of render distance, because this thing is gonna be pretty big. Bloop. Put down a piece of stone so we have somewhere to stand, and we can gauge where the platform should go. We are using the Axiom mod today, and we have an ability to set a viewpoint, which is gonna come in handy today because we need to be standing and looking at a very specific spot to match the drawing, more so than usual. Alright, so we just have a flat plane. Gonna have to adjust the width and the length though. This is the second time I'm using the Axiom mod for a build, so I am still learning. Turns out I was doing this a really roundabout way. You can just control-click and type out whatever number you want for the X, Y, and Z. But past me didn't know this, and things got a bit weird. But I got there in the end, and we have a flat plane of grass. I used the biome painter and made the grass that nice yellowish green color of the cherry grove biome, which I think matches the color in the drawing a bit closer compared to the plains grass. That took a lot longer than it really should have, but now we have a grass plane that you can't see the edge of. We can now place the drawing into the world, and now it's in the left-hand corner for easy referencing. Alright, we should start putting in the placeholder shapes, and I'm gonna start with a sphere for the planet. Actually, before we put in the sphere, it might be best to put in some blocks where the person is standing. With infinite reach, I could just... somewhere here, maybe? I am second guessing the place where we're standing. Maybe all the way back here? Okay, I think this is something I could decide later once I have more of the shapes in. Alright, so the sphere should be somewhere around here. Oh, I think I have an idea for the sky. What if we adjust the time of day so that the sun comes down? And if we get it just right, and also get rid of the clouds, we can make a sphere, and we're gonna place it right in front of the sun. I'm not trying to make it look like an eclipse, but yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. The sun creates a nice gradient around the planet. Ooh, you still see the sun peeking out a tiny bit. Alright, let's just nudge this again. Yeah, close enough. Right now it does just look like a ball in the sky, but I do have this simple fog control mod that lets you control when the fog starts. And if I adjust it a bit, we can add in a tiny bit of the fog over the planet. So it kind of looks like it's out of the atmosphere maybe. Going to want to keep adjusting the size and placement though. Oh, I think I took it too far. I duplicated the planet just in case something goes terribly wrong, but I want to take this and sort of just rotate it just a tiny bit. The sphere straight out of Axiom just looks a bit too perfect. So I think adding in this tiny bit of rotation messes up the blocks enough that it looks a bit more rough around the edges. We got some weird missing blocks though. Right, we can just use the smooth tool. Oh, there it is. And we can just smooth things out just a little bit. I gave myself some night vision, so now there isn't that deep shadow underneath. I do like the sun gradient, but it really does only work from one specific angle, which is right here, I decided. If I can get on. Yeah, it only really works if you're standing right here. So we'll see if I keep this or not. Now we gotta start putting in the big rectangles for the buildings. Ooh, we're gonna have to place the rectangles pretty far away. Somewhere here-ish. Huh? Where's the rest of it? Let's try again. Delete this. I did delete it, right? Why isn't it going away? Oh, it's glitching. I can't click on it. I can't seem to do anything with it. Well, I'm sure that'll fix itself eventually. While I was putting in the box, I realized that everything is very far away. So it might be best to bring everything closer, which means we need to make the planet smaller as well. Oh, that's too small. Wait, the box is gone. That's good. Also, I realized what happened to the rectangle. We hit build limit, which is a bit of an issue because from back here, you can see the top of the build limit, which means the buildings we put in will be cut off really awkwardly near the top. And we do not want that. Maybe if we tweak the FOV a bit. Alright, maybe we need a new standing spot again. Somewhere it's close enough that you can't see the top of the build limit while not being super close. And the sphere is far too big now. Alright, the sphere is smaller, but that means we need to get rid of the sun, unfortunately. It was a cool idea while it lasted. And now to find out the best place to stand and look to match the drawing. Alright, I figured it out. I have a sign here to remember. Gonna set the FOV to 40, and the camera angle needs to be at minus 90 degrees and minus 7.5. And we get this. If we superimpose the drawing onto it, it's pretty close. Let's finally get back to the buildings. I knew going into this that it was gonna be a bit tricky to put the buildings in because they're so flat and two-dimensional, which we can't really replicate in this three-dimensional space. So I'm just preemptively accepting the fact that this build won't be identical to the drawing. But I still try to get it as close as possible. I was taking screenshots and superimposing the drawing on top of it to see if they matched, and it turned out pretty decent. I'm starting to wonder if I should do a second version of the drawing where I make the buildings three-dimensional. I mean, it looks pretty cool. You know what? I'm gonna do it. And we even already have a handy reference for figuring out the perspectives. So why not? I draw with Clip Studio Paint for all the drawings in these videos, and the program actually has this handy tool called the perspective ruler, which made things even easier. The planet was looking a tiny bit off compared to the now three-dimensional buildings, so I added a bit more shadow to it to make it look more spherical. I'm not really sure which drawing I prefer. Let me know in the comments if you have one that you like better. I want to say that it's now time to start coloring and texturing this thing, but we're gonna keep tweaking things a bit. Like this grass. I want it to extend all the way over here so we can actually walk underneath the buildings. Another thing, this planet is actually right under the buildings, which doesn't really make sense. I mean, it overall doesn't make sense that it's even here. It should be out in space. But I might move this around as well. At least get it away from the buildings. Also, please pay no attention to all the weird stuff that's happening on the ground. Like all this. And this? I'm assuming at some point I misclicked and something happened. I should probably try to fix it. So I want the grass to come out all the way up underneath the buildings. So let's extend it. Some biome painter. I guess we should move aside the sphere. Maybe we can bring back this old one that we have. I'm really glad that I kept it. Just gotta bring it over and kind of try to match the spot and the size. Ooh, that's pretty close. Maybe just slightly too big, but we can fix that later. I also want more buildings. I'm just gonna clone sections of these rectangles, bring it up. So when we're standing in our view spot and bring down the FOV, we won't be able to see it. I just keep adding more and more, and I kind of want to keep going, like have the entire sky filled with these. We'll see. Then I went and fiddled around with the spheres, moved the small one, made a new one, until I was finally happy with its placement. I keep thinking I'm done with figuring out the placements for everything, but I found something else that needs fixing. If we compare the drawing to what we have, the horizon line doesn't match up anymore. And I think that's because we extended the grass. Maybe we can just lower the grass? Huh. Interesting. It's like shadows? And it seems like that didn't really help. It's still off. Let's try to erase 1 or 2 levels. Then we could just kind of grass it up. This is normal. I think my computer's crying at the moment. So we got rid of some of the layers, and now the horizon line is correct. But now the person or the armor stand isn't in the right spot. So I got rid of like 5 or 6 layers of grass. So the person should be standing around here. So why don't we just have layers of grass sloping downwards? We can use the handy dandy annotation drawing tool and just draw in where we want the layers to go. Then the path tool using a curve, and we just follow the lines. I figured out an easier and smarter way to do this. I'll do it for the next one. For now, I'm just bringing the line up 1 block so that we can use the extrude tool and bring it up. Easier method, I'm using stone and tracing out the line. And because it's a different material, when I extrude the grass, it follows it perfectly. So much easier. And now the horizon line, the person, and the planet are in the perfect spots. Or as perfect as I can get it. Also, I might have added in more buildings. Yeah, that's a lot. But hey, now it looks more like a city. A very, very colorful city. We're gonna have to fix that and start coloring. Looking at the drawing, the buildings near the front are darker, and as it goes back, it goes lighter and lighter. That already does happen because of the fog, but I'll be making the buildings in the back lighter as well. For the block palette, I started picking out darker colors, like mud, deep slate, and blackstone. I did consider nether brick because it is pretty dark, but all the buildings lean more bluish, so I decided against it. There's also the straightforward ones like concrete and wool. There is terracotta as well, but they do lean more purpley. Maybe glazed terracotta somewhere? So most of these blocks that we chose are pretty much desaturated grays, but the buildings are blue tinted. I'm wondering if we can use glass over top of the blocks. That way we can tint the blocks blue, and if we put it over the blocks that aren't quite matching with the rest, it might just unify it all together and make it work. Maybe. Right, well, I'm just gonna pick out a couple of these blocks so we can start changing out the colors of the buildings. Each building also has a gradient where it's darker near the bottom and it slowly gets lighter and lighter as it goes up. So we're just gonna copy over the blocks we have into a palette, select one of the buildings, and I'm using the painter tool and just putting in blocks of color. So the darker blocks down below and the lighter ones on top. I'm kind of liking the streaky look. I have the paintbrush set to 0 and I'm just quite literally painting in the blocks. I know there are gradient tools that I can use, but I like doing this by hand. I wish there was an in-between block between the black wool and the black stone. It's a bit too stark. Maybe black terracotta, even though it reads brown. Alright, I'm gonna try putting in the layer of glass and see what it looks like. Okay, that's kind of cool. Definitely gives it a blue tint. What to do about the bottom though? Should it be no glass so that it's just black? Or maybe we do another layer of blue. I think I like it without glass. It looks like a really deep shadow. With the glass in, I think we can sneak in some other fun blocks. And maybe some of these. Little spots of saturated blue. Kind of cool. Ooh, and if we're doing the glass thing, maybe we can use the nether bricks. Yeah, the glass really helps. Crying obsidian also works. Oh, the cherry wood. This might be the block I was looking for. The one that bridges the gap between the black wool and the black stone. Maybe some other wood types? Okay, probably shouldn't go overboard though with so many blocks. I eventually got into a good rhythm. First, I would clone a rectangle out into an open area so that it was easier to work on. I would select it and put down the gradient. I decided to only do 2 of the faces. I can take the front face and bring it to the back, and take the one side and bring it to the other side. Then we just move it back into place. I do have to come clean. Not all of the buildings are completely unique. There was a little bit of copy pasting involved. There's just far too many buildings. Ooh, it's so ominous. Now is the time that we can take glass and start enclosing these buildings. Ooh, interesting. The glass is creating like a halo effect around the buildings. I don't hate it. The fog is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for fading away the buildings in the back. But I think we can also help it along and use a lighter colored glass as well. Like maybe cyan? Light blue glass is a bit better. I was trying out white glass as well, but I don't think that works. Let's just keep it simple with the light blue. Alright, don't think this is really gonna change anything, but I kind of want to use the skulk somewhere. And underneath the buildings might be best. So when you're looking up, you can kind of maybe see the twinkling. And how about some skulk veins? You really can't tell that it's there, it's so far away. Might as well just sprinkle them in for funsies. Wait. Right. That isn't great. You can see it through the glass. Okay, I guess I'm getting rid of it. Alright, the building lights. I'm thinking we can just use these yellow frog lights. Should I recess them in, or can I just plonk it here with the same level as a glass? Yeah, I guess not, because you can see it from the bottom. So I guess we can put it in one more block so you can't see it. Maybe some yellow glass in front of it? Out of these 3, I personally like just the frog lights. So let's keep it simple and just do that. Taking a look at the drawing, the lights on the buildings are either going up like this or sideways like this. And I'm gonna try to maintain a good balance between the two, making it look random but at the same time visually appealing. Yeah, alright, just gotta start placing these one by one. I'm actually kind of surprised how convincing these lights are in the building, but I'm wondering, it might be cool if we can mix in some more saturated yellow into the lights. Look at these buildings. There's so many of them. We can get rid of this now and start working on the planet. It is like a light blue tealy kind of planet. I was vaguely basing it off of Neptune. This is the block palette that I came up with. Minecraft doesn't really have a lot of pure blues, all the blocks end up leaning towards like the teal, turquoisey, cyan color palette, but I'm hoping that I can make it work. Let's start off by making the planet pure diamond block, and just sort of start blocking in the colors. It most definitely won't be accurate to the drawing, but I'll try my best. Don't forget all the different sides. Maybe can we add in a bit of white? Maybe some glazed white terracotta. Ooh, some of the green frog lights? Sure, why not? Like we did with the building, can I just put like a layer of glass over everything and just sort of blend everything together? The glass definitely helped. I think I used too much white blocks though. So let's bring back some diamond blocks. Ooh. Actually, the diamond blocks without any glass on top of it is kind of nice. It's more saturated without the glass, and I think that might be what I'm looking for. Yeah. It is coming together, but the area near the bottom is a bit too dark. It's kind of looking more like a shadow, which isn't quite what I want. So I think we can just get rid of some of this glass and replace this blue concrete. Wait. I could just erase the glass with Axiom. Wait, undo. Even better idea. Just put one little hole into the glass and replace it. So much faster. Replacing the blue glass with this light blue glass also might help. Alright, that seems good enough for now. It's dandelion time. Whee! Okay, I should probably be a bit more methodical with this. Let's just focus on this patch of grass for now so I can figure out what I want to do with the rest. I don't want to go overboard, but I'm gonna try different kinds of greens like this bamboo. Green concrete powder, always good for grass. And of course the green wool. So we have kind of like a gradient going on. Sprinkle in some glazed terracotta, maybe. Of course we can't plant dandelions on some of these blocks. There is a way to do it in creative, but I want to keep this as survival friendly as possible. Maybe some solid yellow blocks. And some short grass, of course. Kind of hides away some of the harsh edges between the blocks. Right, I always forget that we have multiple hotbars in Axiom. So I'm just gonna put the yellow blocks in these ones. More terracotta. Really sparingly. Can barely tell from a distance, which is good. Ooh, let's go a bit wild. We can use bamboo trapdoors. That's kind of yellow. Also adds in a bit of dimension, which is always welcome. Which candles also do. And we also have the golden dandelions, so might as well use them too. These white candles can be like the little seed puffballs. Buttons. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Maybe we can use sunflower? Put it down one block just so that it's just the flower part showing. Now, is it facing the right way? Nope, I guess not. I'm just gonna keep putting down blocks and finish this entire field. First, I went in with the green blocks and tried to paint it in a way where it looks like the grass is rippling in the wind. So lots of sweeping and swooping lines. And once I was happy with that, I went in with the other blocks. I realized halfway that I somehow forgot to use wildflowers, so I made sure to use those as well. I really enjoyed putting together the field. It really did just feel like painting. Yay! Now we can frolic in this dandelion field. I am so pleased with how this turned out. I think it looks pretty good from up here, but also from down here as well. So many dandelions! Also, if we look up, I put in some glass layers for that fog effect. Like some sort of fog or maybe clouds that's obscuring what's happening up there. I put in some free-floating wisps to make it look more natural. With all the different parts done, all that's left to do is to get rid of this armor stand and stand right here and take one last look with the drawing. I'm kind of amazed at how close I was able to get all the different parts. This build may have taken me a lot longer than it really should have. Mostly because I ended up making the platform so huge and I made so many buildings, even though I didn't have to. If we look at this with my regular FOV, which is 85, we're only really seeing a small portion of what was built. But I really wanted to make this build something that you can stand in, look around, and just sort of exist in this world. And if you look up, you just see all the buildings. I don't think it would have felt the same if we only had a couple of buildings up there. So that'll be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!